Okay. Let me remember. God created me. Uh, it's lesson number 260. And of Course in Miracles. I'm just laughing at the idea behind this lesson of not knowing who created you, as a matter of fact. Um, and being so dissociated, like being an orphan, not knowing who your mother and father is, and, not knowing where you came from, um, and wondering, what what am I all about? I had a friend once I have a friend, and her real father, left when she was just a kid, and although she had contact with him at one certain point in time, she had stopped having contact with her. She hadn't seen her father in God knows how long, 20 years maybe. Um, so I encouraged her to make, she's going to be in the area. Her father was, I figured make it. And it was interesting because she stayed a couple of days with her father, and one of the things that she said to me at one point in time, and it is really in like these little moments, and they seem to be really tiny instances sometimes when we have this recognition compared to, let's put it this way, compared to the time we think we've been alive on this planet, these instances of recognition show up as flashes in our mind. And she told me she was staying with her father, and she woke up one morning and she passed the bathroom, and her father had the door open, and he was shaving. And all of a sudden, she watched them for a second, and there was a particular gesture, and I wouldn't. And all of a sudden, it was like she told me there was this instant of recognition, and she realized like something about herself and why she did certain things that were directly in relationship to her father. And there was this moment, this tiny instant recognition, where in this very mundane yet familiar activity, some very minute detail opened her mind and allowed her to understand herself from the perspective of her own parentage, and it helped her feel better about the situation that had gone on with, her earlier life and her father leaving her. And that's much what this lesson is about here today. Let me remember God created me in the forgetting, because of, if you, oh, see, we have an idea. So like most people think, well, ultimately there's a question in everyone's mind, where did I come from? And obviously we understand that the idea of our birth here in space and time to our parents is not the answer, because we know exactly where we came from in those terms. So that's not the answer that we're looking for. There's a more, there's an answer wherein which we find our completion and wholeness. And it is when we not only remember, like with our intellect, or as a concept, that we are God created me, but when we experience our creation as part of God and reality. Because what happens is, in his earlier lessons said, you make images. The human mind, we're image makers. We make images. We have an idea of what God is. We utilize those ideas to render God virtually powerless and completely different from the reality of what God is. And then we attempt to try to associate with what we think, what we have made God into, and we try to figure out how what we made God into, could he have possibly been our creator, and why did he put me in this situation in the first place? So we maintain the grievance. And this lesson is going to tell us something a little bit different. And let me remember, God created me. Father, I did not make myself, although in my insanity I thought I did. Yeah, we make up an image of ourselves. We build up from what we think is the nothingness of what we are in an attempt to be something. We collect bits and pieces of the world of space and time and mold them into an identity and try to live within the comfort that we think that identity is going to offer us. And it offers you no comfort because it has no reality, mostly because the reality within which we think we need comfort is not our home. And the reason why we need the comfort and experience the discomfort is because we have forgotten who our creator is. We've forgotten where and what our home is. And we really think that we could find it here in the world. And that's what is impossible. And pursuing any of that puts you in the position of attempting to do the impossible. And that is very frustrating, futile, and disheartening. So, Father, I did not make myself, although in my insanity I think I did. Yet as your thought, I have not left my source, remaining part of what created me. Now, for many people who think that, who like to think of themselves as God, God would be the totality. I am not God creating, because I am, in fact, God creating and what God is creating. But I did not create myself. So while I am part of God, the Son, I am not God. It's got God the Father, the all-encompassing, joined with the Son and the Spirit. Let me remember my identity and let my sinlessness arise. Again, there it is. Again, that's the important part. The again. It's not that we have to make ourselves innocent. It's and let's put it this way. And this is the fallacy, this is the futility of the human condition and why so many people, ultimately turn and commit suicide. Don't be all death is suicide. Right? It's not that we have never been innocent. We were created innocent. It's that we've forgotten that we're innocent. We don't have to try to do things to be innocent. As we're saying, the more we attempt to do things in the world to make ourselves innocent, the more we actually validate the idea in our mind that we are guilty. So when this says, sinlessness arise again, what it's saying is, in our creation we were created sinless. And we can discover that again when we discover our identity. But since our identity is not within the world of space and time, we cannot look there for it. And looking there for it is what produces and is what insanity is. Sin is insanity. And insanity is looking for something that is not there in a place where it is not, swearing that you're going to find it, living in the futility of never finding it, experiencing the pain and lack of consolation in the loss and inability to find it, thereby depressing you and dispiriting you and depriving you of your daily bread, which is why people do go crazy. Now is our source remembered, Christ's vision through which I would look upon my brothers today and upon myself. Now is our source remembered, and there we find our true identity at last. Holy indeed are we, because our source can know no sin. And we who are his sons are like each other and like unto him. So when we live in this world of space and time, we have an idea about what God is. We try to appease God by our behavior and attempt to be good, all along validating what's false and suffering the futility of never being able to experience that which we set out to experience because we're looking in the wrong direction, not because it's not possible. There is nothing, I said before, there is nothing. This world of space and time has not touched and cannot mar your identity. Yet, due to the nature and what we read, the mechanisms of illusion, the forgetting of our identity and our reality, and the amnesia that we live in the world of space and time, all the while thinking that this is reality and this time is real, has caused great confusion and consternation within us. And it takes a moment to allow yourself to be reoriented toward the sinlessness of the Christ that you are, and allow yourself to learn how to use the condition that reinforced the separation and guilt. It takes a moment to learn, and that's what the mind training is, how to use that same condition to undo what you previously reinforced, and allow yourself to use everything that you've been using to reinforce the guilt to undo the guilt, and that's the necessity of the Holy Spirit. Okay. This is lesson 2. Imagine forgetting that. It's like having a hole in your mind that you can't fill because nothing is capable, nothing in the world of space and time that you are looking to fill that hole can fill that hole, because it's not a hole that needs to be filled. It's a hole that allows you to look back through into who you really are. It's an opening, not an emptiness. And this mind training is what's helping us learn to use our mind to remember who we are and to live in the awareness of that reality, and help awaken our brothers to the fact that it's their reality too. It's a shared reality. It's a shared identity. So lesson 260, let me remember God created me. You just have to remember. And it all comes back. You must learn to use, Jesus says, the forgetting to remember. We will now use the forgetting to learn to forget in order to remember. Okay? So today we're going to remember that I was created by God. Not the God that we've made, but God.